This year marks the 80th anniversary of Operation Dynamo, the evacuation of Dunkirk. Among the many types of vessels that took part in the evacuation were a number of Thames passenger vessels and sailing barges. In this video I will give you a brief backstory on perhaps some of the most famous of those vessels. On Wednesday the 29th of May 1940, the passenger vessels Viscount, Viscountess, Connaught, Kingwood, the King, Abercorn, Hurlingham, Marchioness and Queen Boadicea II all moved downriver to HMS Wildfire at Sheerness. The Viscount left Sheerness at 1800 on Friday the 31st of May. However, Viscount's freshwater steam engine gave up due to the salt water conditions somewhere off Herne Bay, and she was anchored overnight. It was considered to rescue the crew and sink the boat. However, the crew effected enough repairs for her to limp round to Ramsgate where her boiler packed up, and the Viscount was moored inside Ramsgate Harbour for the rest of the operation. They said that the Thames River steamers have no condensers and cannot run on seawater, and they request no more to be sent. Following this, His Majesty, Royal Thames, Viscountess, Connaught, Kingwood, the King, Abercorn, Hurlingham and Marchioness were all left at Sheerness to be towed back upriver unscathed during the first few days of June 1940. Queen Boadicea II travelled in convoy with several other cabin cruisers for mustering off of Margate prior to travelling to Dunkirk. Her skipper, Alan Sprong, ferried from the beaches with Queen Boadicea II until a Royal Navy crew relieved him on the 1st of June. The Queen Boadicea still operates sightseeing tours today at the National Waterways Museum. Princess Frida ferried troops from the beaches to an unknown destroyer and to a Dutch trawler, which finally towed her back to Ramsgate. The Princess Frida still continues to operate today for colliers' launches on the Westminster to Hampton Court run. One Thames passenger boat that was left behind at Dunkirk was the Princess Lily. She left Sheerness on Thursday the 30th of May with 19 other small boats escorted by a trawler. She arrived in Dunkirk on Friday the 31st of May and continued to work the beaches until she fouled her propeller and could only go astern. She finally succumbed to engine trouble, forcing her crew to abandon the boat at 10 p.m. that night. Her crew transferred to the gunboat Mosquito and was delivered back to Dover at 5 a.m. the following morning. This photo shows the Princess Lily abandoned on the beach after the evacuation. It is not known what happened to the vessel, but most likely she was broken up. Skylark 10, one of the many Skylarks at Dunkirk, came back into Jackson Brothers' fleet until being sold to Thompson's in 1957. She was moored at Hampton Wick in 1980, converted as a houseboat, and she sank in 1984. The Tamar Belle survived to return to Thames motorboats until 1974. Mutt and Jeff returned to the Thames safely, and Jeff still continues to operate as a passenger boat today for Turk's launches. But perhaps one of the most famous of all the passenger boats at Dunkirk was the Tigress I. She was crewed by Harry and Warren Hastings, and together they helped to save 900 lives. She was damaged and later abandoned at Dunkirk, and the crew was taken back to England thinking they would never see her again. However, a miracle happened when a group of French soldiers patched the boat up and managed to refloat her and bring her back to safety in England. She was sold as a houseboat in 1943 and ended her days sinking in the 1960s and was later broken up. A few Thames sailing barges from Dunkirk still survive today. The Greta is the oldest of the fleet, built in 1892, and she operates trips from Whitstable in Kent. Ina is in a sorry state hulked at Hoo in Kent, and the Pudge is undergoing a restoration at Fallbridge in Essex. Perhaps two of the most famous and well photographed Thames sailing barges left behind at Dunkirk were the Ethel Everard and Barbara Jean. The Ethel Everard and Barbara Jean were towed to Dunkirk by tugs and loaded with ammunition and provisions, but they never made it back. These two barges can be seen in many photographs after the evacuation, but their fate is unknown. In later photographs, both of these vessels can be seen without their masts, and it is said that they were either burnt or broken up. One unusual photograph is this one, of the Ethel Everard, which shows German troops on board with sandbags around the bow, possibly for a machine gun post, and her mast appears to have been snapped off prior to this photo. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe and share, and if you've got any subjects that you wish for me to talk about regarding the Thames, please comment below.